Okay guys, welcome back to the Counterintelligence Training Center. Today we're going to do something slightly different. We're going to take one of our 5 techniques, which is our hand marble technique, is one of our most popular techniques that we do. We're going to let the new addition to our team, a guy I introduced you guys to last week on the last few videos that we did. His name's Josh Walker. He's an amazing, talented guy. He's only been with us for slightly over a week now. So just wanted to show you how effective it is with our simple system, our simple techniques. He's going to do a hand marble, and then he's going to come back in after he does the hand marble, and he's going to add in some accent veins into the hand marble, just to kind of show you that you don't have to just stick with one specific thing. You can stack these techniques on top of each other. So without further ado, Josh, I'm going to let you take it away, and I'm going to kind of stand around. I'm going to narrate a little bit. I might ask Josh a few questions as he goes, but he's going to make you something really cool here today. You might even notice that we didn't reprime this countertop. Just want to show you as you're learning, it's perfectly fine to come in, pour epoxy, let it dry, sand it, and go right back over top of it. Now, obviously, if we were going to do something white over top of this black countertop that we did on the last video, we would definitely want to reprime it. But since this is going to kind of be in the grays and blacks family too, we'll be perfectly fine just to go right over top of it. So Josh, take it away, my friend.
All right. How's it going, everybody? Today we're going to use a variety of different colors. We're going to do some light gray from our liquid line, some black, some liquid white, and then we've got our Skyfall metallic. I'm going to mix in a little chrome, kind of a homemade brew there. And let's get after it. So like we do with our normal thing, we want to make sure we lay out our veins, or excuse me, our hand marble in the direction that we're going to make our veins. So I'm going to come slightly at an angle this way. All right, we're going to get some good even coverage across the piece. Get some heavy areas, light areas. We're going to come back and mix this all in by hand, so we want to make sure we get good coverage across the whole thing.
Okay.
Right, so you can see the direction that I'm heading with everything, right? Coming at an angle this way. It's really important when we do a hand marble that when we're going to do our veins, we take our technique all the same direction. If not, it's going to end up looking like it doesn't belong. Doesn't belong in our world equals not natural. We want to avoid that as much as possible.
So Josh, can I ask you a question? When you say the same direction, do you mean perfectly straight?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Does not have to be perfectly straight. We just want things, for instance, if we're going to come from this side of the piece to this side of the piece, I don't mean an exact straight perpendicular line to that edge. I do mean from this side needs to end up at that side in one motion. We don't want to come over here, drop a 90 off this side. It's going to look different when we have things going that direction and this direction at the same time.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you for clarifying.
Again, we're just going to spread our material out. Some heavy areas, some light areas. All right. Again, while you're doing this, think about it while you're taking your time to pour all this out. Have an idea in your mind of where you want to see things flowing. Right? My heavy vein that's going to kind of be the accent part that I'm going to bring into this is going to be this color. I'm not going to just use that as the vein only. I want to have some of this in my piece so it looks like it's a part of it, that it came from the stone that we cut this from naturally. So we're not going to overdo this by any means, but we want to get it out there in the field. And then, like Troy always talks about, we like to add black in our pieces. Good contrasting color, obviously, but we're going to sprinkle that in as we go through this because we want to give it some more depth. One thing we want to avoid is, while I have a fairly decent amount here, about 12 ounces, I don't necessarily want to flood this out with this color. Okay, the black's going to swallow up a lot of all of our other colors, so we want to avoid that. I do like having black in my piece, so it's going to pull everything together real nice, give it that depth. That depth adds that realism. Even though we're going with some funky colors, something that's a little out of the norm of what you'd find at your local tile or stone store, what we're trying to do is show you the versatility of the product. All right, so now we're going to come back and just like our typical hand marble, we're going to go with the direction that we're flowing here. I like to come towards me. On this piece, it's going to be a little bit difficult. Even though I do have some semi-ape arms here, it's going to be difficult for me to get across that without leaning into my product. So we're just going to come about halfway in. Make sure you're pushing that product and you can feel the weight of it, right? Nice random strokes. One thing you want to avoid is when you come to the edge, look what I'm doing here. You don't want to come and stop and make a circle right there. You'll see that. You want to take it all the way off, come back, right? And as we're going, you want to make sure you get them faces. That's really, really important. Make sure you're getting that product moved nice and smooth throughout your piece.
Hey, Josh, why is it so important to cover the face as you go?
So the most important factor in our faces is we don't want points of tension. Right? The points of tension will create a place for the epoxy to not flow. When it doesn't flow, it's going to kind of tent around an area. We want to start that process as we are laying out our piece. So if we start that up front, get a nice even coat, as we move throughout, this epoxy is going to flow, right? We're going to put things in the middle of our field, whether it's another vein, whether we're pushing things with our hand or not. As we do that, the material is going to spread out like any liquid would, and it's going to go over the edge. If we have places where there's resistance, it's going to flow up and around. You're going to see that, right? Like we talk about in our other videos, the faces are the centerpiece when someone walks in the room to whatever you've done. I know that might sound different at first because you think, well, wait a second. Actually, the top is, but it's not. When you come into a room, you're going to see the front edge of this before you see anything else. And if you see places on that edge that are either A, not covered in epoxy at all, or it's got kind of a tented area where it didn't flow over, it's going to really detract from your artwork. Right, and that's the whole point of this. We want this artwork to look natural. We want it to look like it belongs, like we just got it from a nice quarry and everything that goes with it. So you can see right here where I'm kind of loving this a little too much. Again, like Troy talks about, you're only going to screw this up if you quit right in the middle of it, right? So even though I've dipped my hand in this a couple times, come back in here, roll it back out, but try not to overwork it and be random in your movements. Make sure you're pulling that all the way off the table, right? You don't want to see those finger marks in there. So I'm going to come around and do my best to not stand right in the camera here.
We got our bird's eye view now, so you're good.
Like I said before, this piece is so large. Even with my big long arms, I can't get across this whole thing. I love how that black is just tying everything in. And watch when we get the vein in, when we move all the color in here, you're going to see how that really helps with the depth of the project. This is a great technique for a lot of different reasons. One is it looks extremely natural. Another one is something we teach as one of our our 5 techniques. This is one that can be worked on multiple times with a lot of different additions to it. It doesn't have to always stay the same, and you can get some beautiful results as a outcome of just following this simple technique that we've got going here for you. So before I go any further, I'm going to walk around my piece. I'm going to make sure my edges are nice and coated. Troy talks about nice longitudinal strokes on these faces, nice back and forth. That's important. Don't worry about blending the color. Don't worry about over blending it, making it not look right. We're trying to get epoxy on it so it will flow over that edge all on its own. All right. Come back through here. It's real important that we do this. All right. So as you can see on this piece, before I go any further, you can see I've got a lot of different movements here. Got some places where I stopped, came back, space where I got some broad strokes, some back and forth. That's important. The reason I point that out is the randomness is what will determine how realistic your piece does or doesn't look. If it's all just running straight through, you got deep finger marks in that, it's going to turn out looking like you drew it in there. That's not natural. Okay, so just make sure you're aware of that when you go into that process. So now we got our heavy blue area. What do you think, Troy? You want to mix it up with that?
Whatever you want, man. You the man. You're the man of the hour.
Let's do it.
You want to do like a almost like a dirty pour?
Yeah, let's do it. Why not?
Okay.
So we got a little bit of
Let's
everything.
dump this in. We'll use this cup right here. Okay. So we've already got a little bit of blue in there. So let's add a little bit of white. A little bit of our gray. Now put a little bit more, 2-3 ounces of blue in there real quick. 2-3 ounces of blue. All right. Now this is our chrome spray paint inside of our epoxy. We're gonna add a little bit of that. Okay. Now put a little bit more blue. We're gonna add a little bit more white. We're just gonna kind of layer this until we run out of epoxy. We're just gonna kind of create a pretty cool.
Let's go black.
A little black, yeah. I like black. You know me. I like them all. We're running out of our main colors here. That's okay. Just that little bit's going to help a lot. Let's put a little bit more of the chrome in. Add a little bit more blue. Now, if you are going to do a technique such as a dirty pour for a vein, we don't really teach dirty pours for an overall countertop because it uses so much material. And our material is not really designed to be a dirty pour because dirty pours really take a long time. They need a long open time to really settle out that way. And ours isn't really designed that way. But anytime I'm going to create like a dirty pour for a vein, once I pour my colors in, I like to just take the stick through it like 2 or 3 times just to make sure that I don't have any just solid spots in there. And now he's good to go. So Josh is going to take this. Obviously, he wants to look at the layout of the grain that he's already created in this countertop. So he's not just going to come out here and randomly pour a line into this countertop. He's going to look, and right now he's got some options. He can make a cool Y vein with the direction that he's got built up, or he could do a couple of straighter ones like single veins. He can do pretty much whatever he wants. So Josh, just let your eye dictate what you want.
So I'm liking this area right in here. If you see this big black area we've got that comes into the white and sweeps out, well, it's a little bit straighter. We'll pull off that and come and follow this. So let's get a main one going here. Now, since this is going to be an accent, we're going to want to go a little heavier than this, or with this than we normally would, right? And we're going to come back in with some more blue. Don't worry. We're going to get this on out there in the field, and then I'm going to work it in with my hand a little bit, all right? So now we're going to come back in this way. Same thing. I want to make sure I'm following the grain that I have here laid out. Does that mean it has to be 100% exact? No. But the more we follow that, the better it's going to look. The more natural it's going to end up becoming. All right. So that's enough of our little dirty pour thing. But we still got more colors. So I'm going to run a little bit more on the top of this. Again, something we need to watch out for. We need to remember. The more material we add on top of this piece, the more it's going to push our art off the side. It's really important that we remember that. So I'm going to come actually on the other side of it and kind of balance this out a little bit. Put just a big old fat blob of this blue in there, and then I'll come and I'll work it a little bit with my fingers. Think about this naturally. We want areas that are thin. We want areas that are thick, because that's how it is if you were to cut a piece of stone. Very rarely are you going to see a piece of stone that has just one laser cut line right through it that's the same thickness all the way down. Give yourself some time to think about where you're pouring this stuff, because like we talked about a bunch of different times, you need to be patient with yourself. You need to think about what you're doing. But if you rush this and say, oh my gosh, I gotta hurry and hit this or it's ruined, you can end up causing a little bit more trouble than you need to. So I'm just going to soften up these edges a little bit. All right, I'm going to pull this in there. Nothing too wild or crazy, but I want that color. I want a main area to sit in it. All right. And I'll come back and hit that other side a little bit better when I can reach it. I'm going to leave that area where the dirty vein is, the dirty pour portion is, because I like how it mixed in a little bit in there, but I'll hit the back side of it just a tad.
You could also use a stick for this. The reason why he's using his hands more so than a stick, you might ask the question as to how do you determine which one you want to use? There's a lot of volume of product here that he's trying to manipulate. So trying to do that with the stick is just going to take a very long time. So usually whenever we go with these heavy veins, you're at least going to start with your hands or fingers, you know, however you're going to do it, usually fingertips, because you're going to be able to move the product so much faster with your fingertips than you can a stick. And you may come back in before you hit it with your isopropyl and really fine tune and manipulate the way the epoxy is moving with a stick if you want to. But your initial movement that you're going to manipulate these veins with, using your fingers when you have this much product in play, isn't a bad option, because if you use a stick only, it's going to take a long time for you to get this stuff manipulated the way that you want it.
Now remember, if you're going to come in here and you're going to pull color out, you're going to blend it out back into the field, which is not a bad idea. It's actually a great idea. In fact, let's not be scared about it. Let's get up in here. All right.
Attaboy.
You want to make sure you're pulling it with the direction of the veins that you've already done, right? So let's get back in here, right up in this area, right? Let's pull this on out here. Don't be scared to do that. But remember the directionality that you have going in your piece. Can you have a little area like right here? I almost have like almost an eye, right? That's okay.
It's cool.
But overall, we've got to be headed in the right direction. We've got to be headed in the same direction. So make sure you come up and you grab your color from your vein and pull it out into your piece. You may think at first, man, it's too heavy. It's ruining what I'm going for, the look I want. It's not. You're going to actually regret not pulling that in, because it won't look like it belongs. It won't look like it benefits from the cut of the stone and the way that the grain is going. So I had a good tip from our resident pro, Troy, here, talking to me about spreading those fingers open. Right? I had my fingers just a little bit too close together. I'm going to spread them open a little bit. It's going to help blend in that line and make it not so harsh a transition from one thing to another. Right? I want to keep moving. I want to make sure we get up in this and not overwork it too much, but get a flow going so we know where we want this whole piece to go. So you can see the direction I'm heading with this whole thing. All right, we're taking it all in one line here. Excuse me, my brother. And we're just going to continue this right here up on the other side. Got to kind of blend that chrome in. We're going to pull it out. Get all the way up in this. Right. Some short ones, some long ones. Again, don't be scared that you're over blending these colors too much by getting in there and pulling them out in your field. We want them out there. We want to be able to see that this is where this belongs, that this is where it came from. It wasn't just poured in as an afterthought. All right?
It's looking pretty cool. Looking pretty cool.
So there's a couple ways we could handle this. We can stop here, throw some ISO on it, and call it a day. Another good option Troy talked about, we come in here and fine tune some of these areas with a stick. Let's do that. All right, so let's soften this big area up. You can see it's blended in there nice. When we hit this with ISO, it's going to open this up so much. So let's just come in here, using our stick technique, light. All right. Just going to let it float in there. And again, think about what we're doing. We don't want to just cut this edge and break it up. We want to come into our color. We want to pull that out as much as we can. We want to come in there, get in there, blend it, because that's what stone is. Stone doesn't have just giant blobs that don't exist anywhere else. Right? Come up in there.
Looking cool.
I'm going to grab that. So I'm going to hit this from the other side. So a little bit better angle. Kind of making a classic mistake here. I'm working away from myself, but this piece is a little large. So we're just going to bring.
Looking good, Josh. So I really want you all to remember, as Josh is doing this, he's only been working with us for just a tiny bit over a week, and he's already able to create some very dynamic pieces. And I'm sure when he gets done with this piece, after it cures, he'll probably look at it. He's going to keep learning every single pour that you do, whether it turns out amazing or whether it doesn't turn out as good as you thought. There's still something to be learned and something to be improved upon. It could be the prettiest piece you've ever done. You still need to look at it with very critical eyes and say, what could I have done to make this look more natural? What could I have done to make this look more realistic? Or what could I have done to make this look more dynamic? It's all kind of based on what your customer's looking for. But I will say this is looking pretty cool. And our Skyfall color, it is a pretty unique pigment as far as the way it interacts with other colors. Like down here, it's looking very green because it's interacted with some of the black pigment. And out here, it kind of looks like an electric sky blue. So it's a very cool color. He's got some pretty crazy dynamic color shifts through here. Once you hit this with isopropyl, I think it's going to look really, really cool.
So one thing before I forget, I want to show you. If Chris, you come zoom in here. If you noticed earlier, I pulled up my stick when I shouldn't have, and you see this line right here? We don't want any of that business in there. But is it too late? Absolutely not. Let's get back in there. Let's work it into our piece and make it look like it belongs, right? Because that definitely does not belong. We don't want that kind of stuff in our piece. You may look at this table and say, man, I got greens, I got light blues, I got dark blues. This is all the same color. This is all the same metallic that we mixed up. But as it shifts in different areas where we've mixed it, you're getting all these awesome effects that you can't get any other way.
By adding that little bit of blue that he put in before he did his hand marble technique at the beginning, has created these small little bursts of this blue color that's running through the entire slab, which is going to make this look much more natural with these blue veins that are running through here than if he hadn't added that blue into the other colors before he did his initial hand marble technique. So little things like that are going to go a long way. Like you can see up in here with the camera, you know, the small pockets, because he didn't add a whole lot of that blue, but he had just enough down here where it was more with the white. We got a couple of streaks that are really hard blue and they look really cool. They balance out this piece and they make everything look like it belongs where it's at. So always, always, always come in here and be critical. We're going to be critical of this. We might even make another video tomorrow talking about this piece, looking at it. What do we like? What do we not like? What did we learn? And how will we proceed with the next one that we try to do?
All right, well, we're going to finish it up like we always do. Give it a nice lather, right? Like a half trigger pull. We want big and small ones throughout the whole thing. Get it across our whole piece. Let that ISO just work its magic and open everything up. Don't want to do too much, but we'll make sure we get enough in there.
All right.
You can already see how that color's shifting and blending together. It's a whole different piece now that it's hit that.
So now, Josh, what's the first thing we need to do after we spray isopropyl?
Well, I've got a list of things that I like to do. I'm going to come back to these faces.
Okay.
So
I like that.
I need to look at the top of the piece to make sure that, A, we don't get any craters or like fish eyes in this. If we do, right, there's a big one right here. We've talked about this a bunch of times. I shouldn't take my gloves off because my hands are wet, but I'll show you. It's real easy to fix, right? We're just going to come in there. We're going to tap it with our finger, break that surface tension. Let it run out and do its thing, right? That's not a big deal. We want to make sure we don't see any big, deep fish eyes, craters like that. Then we want to come and look at our faces. Now, this front face is looking pretty good, but I've already seen on the back here where we're going to have to address it. Actually, you know what? Come here and look at this right here. So that's where a huge droplet hit. We don't want to leave it that way because it'll stay that way. So we want to break that up. Same thing as before. Come in here, break that up. Let that all dissipate out, right? Here's another one right next to it. It's real important that you get rid of those. As the epoxy cures and flows, it'll take care of that itself as long as you come and get it. If you let that stay, it's going to look that way when it dries, and that'll look totally unnatural. So, I'm checking my faces. First thing I'm seeing is here on the back, we've got a couple problem areas. If you want to come over here and look at this, Chris, I'll show you, especially what we need to be looking for. So right here, can you see that? That's definitely the undercoat of the last piece that we did. But what we're noticing from that is there's something that's causing surface tension on that. Same business. Get up in there.
We have a very extensive training program that we go through here at Counterintelligence if you do decide to become a dealer for us. But you could pick up a lot of little tricks from these videos, but you can't, we can't teach you everything that we teach in a week-long course. But man, this is looking so cool back here where this is flowing over all real nice and pretty. But your faces will make or break your countertop. If you walk into a countertop, it doesn't matter how pretty the top is. If the homeowner walks into the kitchen and the first thing they see is a bunch of drips down the face, they are automatically not going to like their countertop because it looks fake. And that's not what we're trying to go for here. We're always trying to replicate, make things look like natural stone. And I have to say, you did a pretty daggone good job. This looks pretty cool. Like he said, this isn't necessarily a color that you would see in natural stone, but that's kind of the beauty of epoxy. We can take a technique, like you'll see a lot of stone with this type of grain and this type of veining in it, but maybe a customer wants something custom and they want this cool bluish green skyfall color. We can give it to them. They can't find this in nature. So that's one of the things that appeals to a lot of our really high-end customers is the ability for us to customize this to exactly what they're looking for. Josh, you did a fantastic job. If you don't mind, guys, check us out. Please like, subscribe, and share this video. Also engage us in the comment section. Let us know what you think about Josh. How did he do? Did you like his commentary? Maybe he's better than Troy. I don't know. You guys tell us. But also let us know some things that you'd like to see in the future. We're constantly evolving here at Counterintelligence. We really kind of like to stay in our lane. I don't like to go too far outside the box. We might do an occasional crazy thing. Like we can do beach scenes and we can do fire. We can do all kinds of cool things, but that's not really what our customer base is purchasing. So we kind of like to stay in our lane as far as recreating natural stone. But if there's something out there that you really want to see, give us a challenge in the comment section. Let us know what you'd like to see and we'll make a video about it. So like always, thanks again, Josh. We'll catch you on the next one.